All right, so I had to do a video. There's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin the past couple of days. So we've had some price movement today, mainly, I think, fueled by the Colonial pipeline hack. So the FBI yesterday had a press conference saying that they had or they had seized half, about half of the ransom that the Colonial Pipeline had paid to the hackers. So people, immediately I automatically knew that people were going to say that, oh, it's, Bitcoin's compromised, the network's compromised, somehow the FBI hacked the wallet. But whenever I initially saw that they had seized the Bitcoin, I was like, there's only a couple of ways that they can do that. So either they got physical access to a computer or server that the hackers were actually keeping the Bitcoin on, or somehow they tracked the address which Colonial Pipeline used to a hacker address, and then that Bitcoin ended up going to an exchange, and then they contacted that exchange and then actually froze that account because there's on-chain analysis, and you know a lot of the articles that I've been reading is that the FBI somehow secretly got the password for the Bitcoin address. So again, it's a little vague. I don't believe that they got the private keys for the Bitcoin. What I think actually happened is well, actually, I know. I mean, I know what actually happened. So here was the initial, write up, and it was very vague. And they said that there was going to be, they were going to release the court papers later on, and then there would be details there. So here's the court papers that were filed. So essentially, what they did was they seized a server, uh, or they gained access to a server which had the funds on them. It was 63.7 Bitcoin. They kind of blocked out some of the address, but I mean, for people who think Bitcoin is, there's privacy on there. I mean, if you have an address, Colonial Pipeline had to open a new Bitcoin address, right? They used some third party to purchase that Bitcoin, right? Some exchange. Now that exchange I mean, they probably divulged that they were using it for these purposes. They transferred the money. They had the address that they were going to use. They know the address that they were sending it to. Um, and if the hackers didn't actually use any sort of methods to disguise that transaction at all, it's very easy to track where the Bitcoin went. And then if that address is an exchange address, even if I transferred the Bitcoin from one exchange to another exchange, uh, come to find out, if that is the case, that's a little bit of speculation, but that's what I think happened. The details are still, I guess, they're still a little vague, but that's the only way that it could have happened. I don't. This wasn't. There's no way to directly tell if this was a hot wallet or a cold wallet, but it's likely it was a hot wallet. If I have Bitcoin, unless I can spend that Bitcoin, I'm most likely going to exchange it for some sort of fiat currency in the country that I'm in. So this was probably sitting on an exchange. FBI, in cooperation with some exchange or some private party, which initially facilitated uh, transferring dollars to Bitcoin, worked together, and then they tracked this address, and then this address uh, just so happened to be tied to an exchange, and then they seized the server that all this data was kept on. So it's not like they went in and they somehow broke SHA-256, or they somehow hacked a hardware wallet or a cold wallet. It's very likely that what happened was they had cooperation with an exchange. That exchange tracked those addresses for them, and then they seized the server that was on. So no, the FBI didn't go. They don't have a backdoor into the network to where they can seize and take anybody's Bitcoin. I mean, if that was the case, if they really wanted to take Bitcoin down, they could just pull all of Satoshi's. I mean, it's very well known, some of Satoshi's addresses, so they could just go in and just take Satoshi's Bitcoin if they really wanted to prove that they had that sort of power. So that's not the case. It's just more FUD. If you don't really understand how the network works or how all this encryption works, you would think, oh, okay, it's hacked. My Bitcoin's not safe. If your Bitcoin is sitting on an exchange, if you do nefarious things, yeah, it's probably relatively easy for them to find that through your. I mean, you're going to use dollars or whatever currencies to push that through an exchange, get the Bitcoin, and then or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It can be any cryptocurrency. You're going to get that, and then that's going to be tied to an address. And if you leave any sort of currency on an exchange, they're going to be able to subpoena that to get the information, issue a warrant to freeze those assets. Uh, so it's, I mean, they got sloppy. The hackers got sloppy. I'm not going to go into details on uh, how they could have done it, but they could have done a much better job to do that. I mean, I'm not for hackers or anything like that, but uh, I'm glad they got caught. It wasn't their money. They caused a lot of stress in people's lives, having a part of that pipeline was shut down. People waiting in long lines for gasoline. I'm glad they got some of that back, but the narrative behind Bitcoin got hacked or somehow the FBI or has access to everyone's wallets is false. So just wanted to go over that real quick. But as far as the price action goes, yeah, it's weak. On my last video, I said neutral at best. In all reality, I mean, back here, right here, you were out. You were out 3 weeks ago at 35,669. You're waiting. We hit a 9. I did say that we could possibly hit a 9. This low will most likely get back to there. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to get to the low of this 9. But the daily, we have a nice reversal candle right here. And on the 4-hour, let's see what that looks like. Not so much a reversal candle on the hourly, but you can see on the hourly how we were so oversold and overbought earlier today. And if you would have looked historically at price action, you would have known this was an amazing time to buy. Right here, whenever, I mean, look, it had been oversold. We had our indicator trading up. We have our CMF went, right here as we had a reversal. Yeah, you didn't get the bottom, but you could have got it still in the 31s area, and you'd be, what would be the return now if you could have bought on this? Because this is a reversal candle here. I mean, you'd be up about, say, 3 to 5%. CMF's going up strong on the hourly. On the 4-hour, not so much, but we have, we do have some price flip. It was oversold here as well. Like I said, you can bottom on a 6. The daily, the CMF has been trending up for the past couple of days. Do I think this is, now we're out of the woods, we're going to go back to all-time highs? No. I still think it's going to take 3 to 4 months, so September or October, for us to fully recover and get back to either the breakdown area or the all-time high. So 3 to 4 months to get back to 50 to, say, 65. I mean, that's $15,000 move from here, which would be, 30%. So I think it's going to take all of 3 to 4 months to substantially get ourselves back to, within 3 or 4 months. Within 3 or 4 months, it's going to take us to get back to the breakdown area or back to, previous highs, back to the 60 area. Do I think the cycle's over and we're going to get in a early bear cycle? And there's a lot of indicators that have, that are breaking down. The stock to flow model is extreme. I'm not going to say extremely close, but it's close to its limits as far as still being something that's, it's held up for a decade. If right now the stock to flow model here is 64,537, so if I take that, 32,000 is kind of the bottom end. If we get continuous price closing below that price, say 32.2 for an extended amount of days, or even for like a week or two, this model is going to start being questioned and if it's valid or not. So this model is based off of linear regression. So I mean, I can look at this, right? So this is the dump, or this is the drop here in 2018. Let's zoom in on it. Right here, this was on, so it's at 67.93. So 67.93, divide that by 2, that's 33 9. Where am I at? I just want to look at the date real quick. I know we bottomed. Where did we bottom? Let me look at that. I know what the bottom was on Coinbase. It was 31.28, but I don't remember the day. It was December 15th. So that was, yes, 67.93. And this is saying that the date, so that's 33.996. So that's basically saying that the day is going to close, or should close approximately around that or above that. We closed at 31.83. How long did it take for it to get back above those prices and stay above those prices? Let's see. Let's just go to the weekly. Let's see. It took all but a week. It took 1 week. So like I said, if we have an extended, say we have like 2 to 3 weeks below that model price, I would be a little, concerned because that model is probably going to break. And even here, the low of on March 9th for COVID, actually, no, that's the week of the 9th. The day was, I know it was a Thursday, 13th. Okay, March 13th. Low was 38.58. Where was that? Where were we at on this model? $84.60. And then that's 42.30. And then how long did it take for us to get back above that? Did it actually close that day below it? I don't think it did. Let's see where we at. So that day closed above 42.30. Did we ever get a close below that? No, we didn't. It essentially we didn't even spend a week below that. Yeah, we didn't even, so I would say no more than 2 to 3 weeks if price stays below that model price, uh, would there be very, very large concern that we're going to break, that the Bitcoin stock to flow model is no longer going to hold. So right now, like I said, that's 64,537. Divide that by 2. So we couldn't see, this continuously goes up every day. We couldn't see prices go below 32,268 for longer than I would say 2 to 3 weeks. So I mean we're getting below that. We haven't got a daily close below that yet. At all, below that model price. So we'll see. If you believe in the stock to flow model, you're buying right now because this is like the bottom. So just wanted to go over that real quick. Really want to talk about that FUD. We're looking. I know that the hash rate, the hash ribbons, the creator of the hash ribbons had posted something earlier today. Hash rate is in fact hasn't fully recovered. I think I looked at it yesterday. On a 7-day moving average, yeah, it's recovered a little bit. Raw values have gone down. I know Taproot is also going to go through this difficulty adjustment. So we're more than 3/4. I think we're more than 3/4 of the way through. Or about almost that. So yeah, there's only 26 blocks that didn't signal that they were ready for Taproot. So that's likely to go through. That is probably going to go through. It'd be very weird if it didn't. It's going to go through. And then the target to implement that will be November. So that's actually good. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Like I said, a couple of, more than a week ago, really, this week, 3 weeks ago, you would have been out of your position, unless you're hodling a certain amount, but your whole trading amount, you would have been out of your position back at 35,669, and you're waiting for these longer term moving averages to go up. But if you also are looking at some other metrics and feel like this is the bottom for this plunge, you're buying up right now. And we've printed this 9. If we keep on going in the trajectory that we're in, tomorrow we will be, if we don't close above 35, this will be a 6. I mean, this candle looks like we're going to get a reversal. What I was going to say was that by the 13th, because it's be 6, 7, 8, 9, or by the 12th, I'm sorry, we would get a 9 here, and then we would have a 9 on the weekly, and then we could also potentially print a 9 on the 4-hour, which would all give signals that we're going to get a recovery, and it could be an aggressive recovery back into those Ichimoku clouds that I had talked about on either my last video or the video before last. I said it's going to take within 3 to 4 months, I think, to get back to the breakdown area. But this is saying, by the 17th, which is not, it's 9 days away. So could we get an aggressive price move, from here up? Yeah, 40% we could. MicroStrategies announced that they were going to buy another 400 million worth of Bitcoin. That got pushed up to 500 million. So there's going to be another 500 million going into the market. Now, how is Michael Saylor going to buy that? Is he buying that OTC? Is he buying that, directly from the miners, directly from an exchange, so that he doesn't affect price as he scales in? Not quite sure. His paper did say that that's how they did it initially. So it's not like they're just going to dump $500 million in one buy order. That's going to be scaled out over, a week or 2 week span, in order to not affect that price that much. But, we can expect that over the next week or two to go in. So just in general, I would think, the news itself is bullish, and then the buy pressure that's going to come in is also going to be bullish. And we see the CMF going up on the daily. I don't think he started buying already, but we see the CMF going up. Have we seen it go up on the 4-hour? Not yet. We have, but this is, I think, just regular buyers coming in, and this is just one exchange. Michael Saylor doesn't have to use Coinbase. MicroStrategies does not have to use Coinbase. They can use multiple exchanges, and in their paper, they did say that they actually use multiple exchanges so that they can have the liquidity to scale in such a large position. So, yeah. If this continues to go up, our resistance area is right here, right around this area. This, I would say, really more around this area. This 0.2. CMF can go as high as 0.15, and then we can find some resistance. But as of right now, it looks great. On the weekly, we've bounced a little bit. I can pull up the funding rate, and that is still negative, which means on the derivatives market, the market is net short. So that's good. As soon as price goes up, it depends on how stubborn those positions want to be. They will get crushed until the market goes. So right here, it's already more net negative, with good buy pressure on the hourly. Again, it went relatively positive, but there's good buy pressure. And we're finding resistance, not oddly enough, the way this TD sequential works, we're finding resistance right here at this 9. So I would say as soon as we go above this 31,931, our CMF could probably trend up. Our next level of resistance is going to be around the mid 35 area, so we could start to come here. I usually don't mark the hourlies, but they still are good. Reversal candle. Where can I potentially go up, especially with this enormous, with the CMF going positive, being bullish. This was my target. If you want to take a short-term target, you could have traded this reversal candle, exited right here where we're having resistance, or wait and then see if we consolidate and go higher, and then maybe put a stop at the low of this 4, which would have got you in 4%, or right now you could be between, like I said, 3 to 5%. So that's all I want to go over for Bitcoin. I did want to go over something else, TLRY, because that's actually getting good momentum. We are hovering around this. So this is the hourly chart right around 2018, which is where we find our exhaustion area for our 9. Post market looks like we've gone up. Where's our target? Like I said, I don't really like to use the hourly, but we have a 9 right here where we found exhaustion. We didn't necessarily get good consolidation around it, but high probability that we go back to it. So 2130 is where we're at. CMF's going up. Once we go above this price, this area, it's most likely going to break out. So this is all good. We're flattening out here. Here was the 9, went high, retested, good retest. It did retest here, but we found support here. There was a 9 right here. We didn't quite get back to it, but that's okay. We don't necessarily have to get back to it. Maybe eventually, sometime in the future we will, but as of right now. And look, we had this 9 here. They didn't get properly retested. The 7 was a large, had, buyers come in, sold off, was resistance. So we're really looking probably above 2214 to see if we can break out to upper levels, which would most likely be right around 24. So another 10% from that resistance area. We can look at our moving averages, and that's told us to get in. We're not quite into the position 100%. We're waiting for the next 10% to roll in. Once we get above this 2214, we need a daily or 4-hour close above that previous week high. Then we can go in. We can look at our RSI real quick. RSI is breaking up, I think, on the so I think we're going to consolidate here because our CMF is good. It's trending up, which is what we want to do, right? And then we'll break out into this overbought area. And then whenever we get into the overbought area, that's more of like a momentum. We're looking for continued momentum with higher prices. If we get bullish divergence where our indicator is going down and prices are going higher, like here, right here, but we ended up finding, the CMF started to trend up. We ended up finding support. It broke above the previous RSI high. And then, we had a 9. That's a reversal candle. And then we dipped back down to this 9 because high probability we retest it. That was a big drop, 50%. But, I keep it simple. So we're at a 9, looking for consolidation. Our CMF looks good. Our on-balance volume probably looks good. We did get oversold on the hourly, but we had the 9. We've sold off. We're coming back up. Consolidate. Previous green number above a prior green number above the 9. We can break out. So everything looks good on every time frame for higher prices on TLRY. And our position, our entry was actually good. And we're just sitting in this. And we can scale in some more if we would like. But if we move our moving averages, let's look at the on-balance volume real quick. Yeah, our on-balance volume is building up. That's good. And on the daily, you can see where we consolidated. Now we're breaking out. On the 4-hour, we're breaking out. So this looks good. On the hourly, we're probably going down. Nope, we're breaking out. This is good. So this looks good for a good price movement. How aggressive it's going to be, not quite sure. We can bring up our Ichimoku clouds. Even though these are our crypto settings, they're still very good. We're within the cloud. We'll probably find resistance, like I said, right around 22. We need to close above that. Here, again, right around 22. The cloud's negative. Once you get above that, that's bullish. I don't know if we have enough data on the weekly. Just starting to get enough data with these settings. So yeah, bullish on TLRY. The other marijuana stocks are probably doing okay too, but this is the one I'm watching. It's like the blue chip of the marijuana stocks. TLRY is the largest marijuana stock that's publicly traded. So we'll see if we can get some big price movement and close above this high. This will probably be enough to push this moving average up, and then you could go 100% in. And then based on the weekly, the next resistance really is around 27. So even at 27, your return, depending on where you get in at, could be somewhere between 15 and 20%, say 12 and 20%. Once we get our buy signal, unless we get aggressive buying, but either way, it'll still be a buy signal. And we're still looking at upper targets of 60 all the way back up to previous all-time high, because the bill is still not entered the Senate to get voted on, but that's all that will lead, I think, to higher prices on speculation of that passing. And it'll probably be buy the rumor, sell the fact once the bill gets passed. But we'll play this on our technicals. We don't really need to know when that's going to happen, because all of that information should be in the TA. So thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch these videos, and I'll catch you next time.